What's up, everybody? It's Matthew.
And Rebekah. Sup, everyone. Thanks for joining us again. Matthew, have you noticed that Tuesdays are more fun now?
Oh my gosh, I look forward to it every week. I mean, Tuesday used to be that day after Monday.
Right.
But now it's like Tuesday. Hello.
Sup? It's Tuesday.
That's right. Hey, so Rebekah, I'm curious. I saw this really cool episode of TIPA with Braden the other day on Facebook Live, and she was doing this whole thing with ambers and rubies and how to work on your skills. It was so cool. What have you seen that's really cool lately?
Oh, I saw that too. It was precious. If you haven't seen it, definitely go back and check it out. But also I joined the Friday open forum for the certified community, and man, that is just a really cool place for the certified community to come together and practice. And especially with all these changes we've had to make with COVID, we can learn new skills together. And so that was really fun. I hope you guys will check that out if you haven't already.
Yeah, speaking of that, we have Alejandro on today with us, who's going to talk to us about this awesome thing that's happening on Friday and some hot topics that have really been happening lately, which Zoom. Oh my geez, Zoom. And so, Alejandro, I was wondering if you could help me out, because man, this whole share screen thing and the whole like breakout room thing, it's like, what am I doing here? So can you help me with that?
For sure. And definitely I want to say thank you to both you and Rebekah for putting this on and giving the certified community another forum to reach out, but also to shine, because they've got a lot of shine going on. But yeah, this hot topic is Zoom, and how do I use it as a certified trainer? Because it's a wealth of cool things to try out for training, and at times a little bit intimidating as well if you're not super familiar with it. The cool part about having worked for PAC for a few years now is we've been using Zoom for quite a while, internally for meetings and all kinds of stuff. So we have a pretty strong grasp of it, which made it easier for us to make this transition. So we know that there are lots of trainers out there trying to make the same transition. And so what I'll do with the group tonight is actually do a little bit of a walkthrough on how do I get to do this thing, which is sharing screen and then running breakout rooms. And people may be more familiar with sharing screen than breakout rooms. But if you aren't, this is kind of a get your feet wet kind of a piece for you. So if you've been doing some of our workshops, you'll already have a heads up that you show videos and you show PowerPoints and visuals are really strong, and that's the way we take in data. And it's no different in being on Zoom. I mean, if you guys had to look at Matthew and Rebekah this whole time, that's fairly engaging, but they'll be able to show you pictures and other people, which is a little more engaging even. So what I'm going to do is actually share my screen. Oddly enough, it feels like the Matrix right now. Share my screen to share a PowerPoint, so that we get some kind of understanding of what's happening on Zoom. Because if you haven't done it and gone through it, it's a little bit hard to fathom, if you will. So what we've got here is a little kind of snapshot. So every Zoom room, you actually start out in one main room. And you can see here we've got one person kind of running the show and everyone else is a participant. So it's a host and a participant kind of thing. If you haven't been on there, this is kind of what it looks like with the Brady Bunch boxes. And this is actually a meeting from earlier today with Rebekah and TIPA and I getting ready for a cert course. I did not get Rebekah's permission to show this, and neither TIPA, but I feel like I have permission to show it, so I did. So this is what you would see on your computer screen until you get to share screen. So right now everyone can see each other, but when someone shares screen, it basically is taking over the computer a little bit, everyone's computer. So we're able to show a document, show a PowerPoint, show a video while still being able to see each other. So you can see on the right side of the screen, there's a little sidebar view of the folks that are on the call, but the main window is actually taking up with the document. So we're actually getting ready for our engagement leader cert, which is happening over the next 3 days. So TIPA's sharing out her agenda. So that's one possibility, which is sharing the screen for a document. Now that's not super engaging, but we can also share screen for videos, which is a little more engaging. So I'm gonna jump back in, but I wanted to take a quick pause to let people know that if you're watching and you wanna put a question in the chat, feel free to put it in if you have a Zoom related question or something that's trainer related in accordance to Zoom, and we'll try to get to it, and if not, we'll certainly get back with you. Matthew may get back with you because I'm not a great Facebook user, but we'll see. So what I'm going to show you now is actually the steps to do a share screen, and it's fairly straightforward once you've tried it. So here's another look at the Zoom window. This is what your interface would look like. And so down at the bottom of the screen, you notice this yellow box here, there's a share screen button. And so step one is click share screen, the button, and then you get some options. So it gets a little bit tricky here depending on how many things you have open. So this new window is your pop-up, and you have options here. Now, if you're okay with just sharing anything that comes up on your computer, then it's two pretty straightforward clicks. You click on screen and then you click share, and boom, everyone can see what's going on your computer. Now, if you don't want everyone to see that, because maybe you have some emails coming in or you minimize a window and there was something that spoiled something later on for your workshop, you can actually be a little more selective. So on here, I had a video pulled up of PAC Skills Make the Difference, which is my favorite PAC DVD. So if I want to share that with my audience, I can click on that specifically. And then the trick is, if it's a video, I've got to click these boxes down here for sound. Otherwise, the video would be showing, but it's like an old-timey video with no sound, which isn't great. So I would click here, click the boxes, just share the sound, and then click share, and boom, everyone's seeing my screen again. The other piece is PowerPoints. PowerPoints are great to use, but again, you can be really selective. I can just put up the show, and so the key here is looking for PowerPoint slideshow, and it's already up and running by the time I've got my workshop going, so that no one has to see all my slides down the side and the thing that's coming up next. I just want to be able to show that piece of it and keep everything else in the background. And so this idea of being smooth with it, take some practice and take some trial and error, really going through the steps, because as we know, knowing the steps versus doing the steps in the moment is a bit different. So it's a bit of working on that skill. So that was our first one, which is sharing screen. And it's for any possibility of thing on your screen. There's more to it. You can get really technical, but that's kind of the basis. So that's step one, which is sharing screen. Step two is a bit more complicated. And this is the piece that a lot of folks don't know about, even if you've been on Zoom for maybe company meetings or you're having a family Zoom all the time. Zoom actually has this really neat feature called Breakout Rooms. And for the certified community members, if you did a cert with us in person, you would actually physically go out to rooms with a mentor and practice and come back, or you would be at your table and it was your own little practice time. Well, that's kind of what breakouts do for us on Zoom. But again, I'm going to start with a visual here because it's a little bit hard to get your head wrapped around it until we have something that kind of can let you see it. So we've got our main room. This is our Zoom room. We've got the host and they're doing their thing and they're showing and they say, okay, it's time for you to go practice. So what the Zoom host will do is then make everyone disappear out of the main room, but actually send them into breakout rooms. So in this visual, we've got groups of threes working together in very separate rooms. They can't see or hear one another. We basically put them into separate spaces to work. Now, one of the other neat things is if you are the person running Zoom and are running the workshop, you can actually go and pop into a different room and see how it's going and maybe ask another question or provide some guidance or support. You can hop around to any room. You can also go back into the main room. That main room space could be really great if that was a really long piece that you just did and you just need a minute or two to yourself while everyone else is working. So it's that idea of turn and talk to your neighbors, but on Zoom, because when we're here, I can't get away from you. I can't get away from you on Zoom. If I've got that stressful moment as a trainer, trying a breakout room in the moment may be a way to get yourself collected for the next thing. So that's what it looks like, kind of. What it looks like on your screen, the steps, it's, again, fairly straightforward, but there are multiple options once you get started. So once you have your setup ready to go, again, more folks who are willing to smile and be on camera with me today. So on the bottom bar here, you have a box for breakout rooms. And once you click it, that's the first step. You'll then get some options beyond that, which there are 2 to start with. Automatically create a breakout room or manually. Now, if you choose automatic, that's fine for the most part. You can set the number of rooms you want. So if I have 9 participants, I can set 3 rooms and 3 people will go into a room. I can do that automatically, which means Zoom randomly puts people into breakout rooms. I prefer doing it manually so that I have an intentional setting of maybe skill level or mentors going into rooms with folks. So I typically do it manually. Then you set the number of rooms and you click create rooms. I wish that was it, but there's even more beyond that. So once people are in the room, this is where you can actually join and switch people around or assign a room manually. So I could have, potentially 4 people in one room and 3 in another and 2 in another if I needed to. And that's got to be done manually. So once you get everything set, you can click on open rooms and people then have the option of working in that small breakout room. So that's basically it in a nutshell. But if you thought that was basic, you've probably used Zoom a lot.
Yeah,
So,
thank you for doing that, Alejandro. I have a question. So I'm wondering if this skill is mainly for trainers, or how could you see other folks using it?
yeah, so we've got lots of input from trainers saying, I can't get to my facility, I can't get to the place that I was going to. So they are primarily the group that's been using this. I mean, for me, as a potential PAC consultant, I could also see some value in having groups of people on a family session, providing some opportunities for breakouts where I'm not in the conversation. This is your time, and I don't have to fake, me being off camera. And I can actually put you in a separate room where I'm absolutely guaranteed that I'm not going to hear your conversations. Same possibly for coaches, breakout rooms being used for, hey, you guys are going to go and practice with each other, and I'll come in to help if you need it. So yeah, so the idea of being able to pull up resources, lots of people benefit from watching videos and having something in common. Because as a consultant, I could have handed you a card in person before. Now I've got to pull it up on my screen so that we can all look at it.
Cool. And so is there a record function too, Alejandro, that you can use so you can go back and look at it later, or is there something else that you can do for that?
Yeah, I mean, with Zoom, it's nice to be able to record sessions. It's a great way for trainers to go back and look at themselves, figure out, what do I want to tweak for next time? Where am I finding some success as well? And potentially it could be an idea for you to come out and record, see what it looks like from the other person's perspective. I mean, have a few people on for a trial run. But definitely having the availability to record is there, for sure.
That is so cool. Man, thank you so much for sharing all of that wisdom with us. That is so awesome because, man, I was struggling really figuring this whole share thing out sometimes, and then the whole breakout room. So that really helped me a lot. And you're telling me you guys do this on Fridays? You go over stuff like this on Fridays? Tell me more about that.
Yeah, so we have something exclusive again for our certified community. If you've gotten a certification with us, or if you're working on one, so it means you've done a cert with us, but you're not officially certified, we're inviting those groups of folks as well. But every Friday from 1 to 2 p.m., we've got anywhere between 4 to 6 mentors that are on and available for you to come on and practice something with Zoom or share screen or even run an AELC. Last week we had an awesome AELC experience with someone who hadn't done that in virtual time. And so they were trying out a new experience and they got to get some feedback, and we got to, coach and help out with things. So if this wasn't quite helping you yet and you need to do it, then come on to our session, because it's the opportunity for you to try it and have mentors as guinea pigs. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. That's what we're here to do, is support the certified community.
Wow, that is so cool. So you're telling me as a certified member of the community, I can get on there and you guys will be there, some of you guys at least, right, to help me through these things and give me that support that I may need to do these things, right?
Yeah, you got it. And so we are keeping it tight to just certified community members and those who are actively seeking a certification. You've done a cert course with us. So the Zoom number we are trying to not hide, but definitely protect a little bit. So if you've been looking for it, go ahead and look into our PAC Certified Community Facebook page, because Bonnie is able to post it there. And if you post a question, she is quick about it. You can tag her, but she'll probably beat me to the punch for sure, even if you tag me. I saw that today. The other place we'll start putting it is I'm going to have the Zoom number up on our post-certification tools pages. So whether you're a trainer or a coach or something else, you'll be able to go there, and it's going to be the same Zoom number for all of our sessions. So if you've got it once, and you can save it and come back and visit us. But the other piece we'll start to do starting this week is actually having a small time where we've got a dedicated skill to work on. So if you don't have anything to come with, we will have something that we can work on. But if you have a specific questions, you can actually go into a breakout room with a mentor, which is nice, and work on your specific question too. So we'll be flexible.
Wow, that is so cool. You guys really put the SUP in support. You really do. Well, speaking of events, I'm going to share my screen here so I can show you guys some of the events coming up here. So the upcoming community webinars and events that we have going on for all you folks out there who want to see things happening in the PAC community and even certified community that want to be able to get a chance to get some more information or maybe get some new awareness or skill. We've got all of these different events coming up. August 20th, we got the TIPA's group consult. And remember last week, TIPA had said to us, that's with TIPA. TIPA's there with you. So you get TIPA there. And that's for all those professional care partners out there. August 20th, again, international webinar. So she's going to reach out to all those folks, all you folks tuning in that are in New Zealand and in Australia and all that. She's gonna try to get out there and be able to be available for you guys as well and give a webinar. So that ought to be awesome too. Looking at that Champion 4, and TIPA clued us in on that Champion 4 last time, working with those gem states and how awesome that is to be able to see and use those PPA skills with all the different gem states. And then that Brain Connection Cafe with, our man Alejandro, guy that just helped us out with all those cool breakout room and share screen things. He's going to be jumping in on that to help us with that. Another virtual group consult on the 26th. Now this one's for the family care partners. So all those folks out there who have a loved one that they're taking care of who's living with dementia, that'll be great for them. And again, that's with TIPA. You got TIPA right there. August 28th, we got the Champion 1 course. So that's that part where you're starting with those PPA skills and you're learning how to improve those connections and the relationships and get into those task completions that we all know, we like to try to do with our folks that we're trying to help. And once again, you can always, right there at the bottom, TIPA Snow /events, you can go on there, can find more events and be able to look at all that stuff and see and sign up. And get more detail so that way you guys get what you need and get set up. So very cool. Alejandro, thank you so much. It was awesome having you on. I really appreciate you coming in and helping us out with that. Like I said, you put the SUP in support, buddy.
Yeah, thank you guys. And thanks for running these on Tuesdays. We certainly appreciate it. I'm looking forward to hanging out to see who's up this week, because that's the interesting part for me is what are these folks doing?
Alejandro is sure to be a fan favorite, and these next two are as well. Want to do a little intro, Matthew?
Yes. So Jami, who I got to know after I got certified using the community certified Facebook page, connecting with others. Awesome. Originally, she's from West Virginia. She's now in Ohio. She's an OT and has been for 11 years. She is the supervising OT, and she's the OT clinical specialist at Continuing Healthcare Adaptive Remedy Therapy. And then her partner, Julie, is a speech pathologist who has been practicing for 12 years. she's actually from Ohio and still there with Jami. She's the senior speech language pathologist and clinical specialist at that continuing healthcare adaptive remedy therapy facility. So welcome, Jami and Julie.
Sup, Jami? Sup, Julie?
Hey guys, what's up?
Hi.
Welcome to SUP. So let's get to it, ladies. Tell me, and I'm not sure who had the first exposure, but you guys are a dynamic duo.
Right.
Who first heard of this TIPA Snow Lady or this positive approach to care?
So I'll go first. I'm Jami. I was introduced to TIPA, actually found her online. I was looking at a point in my career where I was working at a skilled nursing facility, and I was like, man, I know there's more that I can do as an occupational therapist. And the GDS, the Global Deterioration Scale, just wasn't cutting it for me. I felt like I wasn't reaching their true potential of what I could give them. The communication and everything just wasn't matching. So I went to a day course with TIPA and met her there. That was my first TIPA moment, we'll say. Fell in love with the course, fell in love with the ideas behind the PAC method. So then I looked into, you can become certified, and then I can bring this back to even more people. So I went through my certification course in Chicago in December of 2016, became certified, started bringing this whole concept to life. I mean, it takes some time. It's not something that, you go to the course and boom, you're a natural at it. It takes a lot of rewiring as a clinician. So it's taken me these last almost 4 years to really get this program up and going and embraced like it is now. And then Julie happened to be a speech therapist, DOR at the time, a director of rehab, when I went to Cincinnati with our company to train a few sites and clinicians in that area. And she just, totally embraced it, was on fire for what PAC was. And that's kind of how her and I got together and kind of made this program really what it is. In the past, and Julie can speak to her experience with it, but since about, I want to say in the past year, really, it has exploded into this dynamic program that clinicians are hungry and thirsty for this information so they can truly see the abilities and allow those gems to shine, and we can make the stigma of skilled nursing and long-term care disappear and help these people and support them through the disease progression.
Wow.
Thanks, Jami.
Yeah, thank you for that. I wanted to ask you, Jami, a quick question before Julie goes. Your first certification was trainer?
Yes, so my first certification is a certified trainer, and I am currently on the last coach call before I have my certification for a certified coach as well. So I'll hold 2 certifications within the PAC community, and I'm really excited about that.
That is awesome. And how about you, Julie?
Well, hi everyone. I kind of heard about this TIPA Snow person for years. And when you're working with a lot of rehab companies, you kind of go with the flow of what they're doing at the time. So, I did my own kind of program. We did a lot with the ACL and the dementia consultants, but I didn't really get going with TIPA until I had the opportunity to meet Jami. And I kept hearing about this person in our company, this Jami Womack at the time, who, she's all about PAC. And as she mentioned, she came to the site to do the course, and I was signed up for the next possible certification. So I received my certification back in December. We were already planning our first workshop, and Teffy, I am blessed with as my mentor. We kept saying, we got to get our calls going, and literally we had to bump our 2 calls in because I was already prepping to do a workshop with Jami. So needless to say, I became certified. We're working together as an amazing team. And as Jami mentioned, it has just blossomed into this amazing program that we can't talk to somebody without saying the term PAC, describing what it is, without them wanting more. So she hit it on the head with the thirst and the hunger for more.
That's amazing. And nice shout out to Teffy. Teffy, if you're watching, sup? I love it.
Remember that for my research.
Teffy didn't get off easy because Teffy inherited me on the coach side. So I'm looping her into my trainer recertification too.
I love it. I know she'll love working with you guys again. So one of the big things that we like to talk about with SUP is the difference that PAC Skills made. I mean, you guys have been doing this for a while, and you talked about this kind of being at a point in your career where you really wanted to do something new and different. And so if you could talk about your skills pre-PAC certification and post-certification, and really what a difference those PAC skills made for you.
Sure. So I'll kind of go from the OT perspective, and then Julie can follow up with her speech side, because we make a good dynamic duo that way. So with OT, I was noticing the cues that I was giving, they weren't meshing. What I was providing was a lot of this, not realizing it's all visual. So I noticed that I was getting more refusals during treatment sessions. I was getting behaviors, as we call them, unwanted behaviors. I was seeing a lot of falls within the nursing home that I was like, man, there's got to be a way. But according to the tools that I'm using, this is just it. This is what we should expect. So that's really what I was noticing pre-PAC certification. Post-PAC, I was like, oh, there's this thing called an unmet need that's driving this behavior, which is really just the person has something they're trying to communicate. It's just our modes of communication aren't matching. So after my PAC certification, I really noticed that using my PAC skills, so my positive physical approach, my positive connections, my action starters, and taking my agenda of what I wanted to get done that day as a clinician and going, let's stick it back here, see what the need is, and then I can give the options of either or base it off of their gym state. And it's a whole lot easier. Now, it did take some work, but it is a whole lot easier to grade my task, because we have to look at, is the task appropriate? Is it meaningful to the patient? But it's a whole lot easier for me to, once I understand the gyms and my PAC skills mesh with my understanding of gyms, to pull that out of the patient and be like, look what they can do. So that's the great thing. And another thing that we do as clinicians is we educate other professionals. So we're educating the nursing assistants, the administrators, the dietitians, the housekeepers that are active in their care, because it's not just one person in and out. As a therapy team, I'm sure you guys know, we're in and out in maybe 30 minutes to an hour per discipline of their day. But that leaves a lot of interactions to other staff. And if we don't all communicate on the same wavelength using PAC skills, then it's going to start to go like this in a hurry. So that's kind of where we came in, of getting this as a unified front in the skilled setting, of getting everyone involved, not just the OT or the speech therapist or the PT or maybe a nurse here and there, but it is a unified front when we come in, and we really drill that in to mesh it and see the whole picture. For me also, you've got to keep it skilled. So I've got to realize, how does this work into my daily documentation? So using our standardized assessments like the Allen's cognitive levels or the GDS, and using the crosswalk, which I know we're going to talk about here soon, and going, here's my skilled part, but here's where PAC makes the difference. And here's how my PPA, I can assess them and analyze their tracking abilities, their processing speeds, get that real lifetime assessment of what's going on to be able to document that in my notes. So I'm going to transition it over to Julie before I step on her cognitive toes too much, so she can talk about the speech side as well.
No, and absolutely, that's a great transition, because for those who might not be on the therapy side, OT and ST, we do a lot of collaboration when it does come to cognition. So that was a great kind of segue into what I do. And before, we always talk about cueing, visual cues, verbal cues, tactile cues. How much do they need? When do we stop? And I think that we sometimes need to take a step back and think that's not all that we do. We don't just cue someone with dementia. We have to take the time to not only assess them via either an ACL, a GDS, or a GEM state, but we need to assess how they respond to us. So sometimes that positive physical approach, taking those 2 to 3 minutes, gives us so much great information. As a speech therapist, you think about, oh, well, all I'm doing is going and getting their hand, saying hi, and, letting them know that they might have a nice shirt. That shirt looks really nice on you. It looks good. Well, are they able to respond? Okay, so we're talking about comprehension. What is their intelligibility? Are they able to speak in sentences, short phrases? So do I need to maybe work my agenda to meet their agenda? So if they're only able to communicate in smaller words and sentences, I need to take a step back and I need to readjust how I'm communicating. So now we're talking communication, cognition and cueing, sequencing, safety awareness. I can say that before going through TIPA's PAC program, oh my goodness, they're about to go touch something hot. Oh no, what do we do? Oh, we're going to write a goal for safety awareness. Oh, but they're in amber. They don't have safety awareness. So it's been such an amazing opportunity. And I have a 2-year-old right now who is all about the curiosity, but just nothing with the safety. So, bringing in kind of some of that conversation and relating it to family members, relating it to, remembering that not everybody might have the same background in, therapy or nursing. So how can we relate it to their daily lives? And that's what we pull into our education as well, is can you tell me a time when someone had this happen? So really kind of, assessing the person when we're first getting into that PPA hand under hand, we're getting that communication, we're getting that cognition. And what was huge for me was how many times we're taught in school when you're working with someone and assisting to feed, oh, just put your hand on top of them, give that hand on top. And wow, what happens to that person living with dementia when you go hand on top? Well, you just took away their control and that little bit of independence that they have left. They're throwing the spoons. They don't want to eat because that's maybe the one thing that they had left that they could do for themselves. So going into hand under hand, giving that support and doing with and not to, still to this day boggles my mind how we did anything different. So just as a speech therapist, I've talked communication, cognition, dysphagia, and there's just so many other routes that you can go. And once you get familiar with that GEM state, it truly is a GEMS ability model. And that's really what we try to work on with those that are going through our trainings, is talking about, hey, let's focus on what we still have left. So yeah, I think we can transition to the other things because we could just easily talk our ears off with that.
You guys are awesome. And it's so cool that you guys have connected and made this dynamic duo. You are really making a difference. And even just, I can't even repeat all the things that you said and reflect back all the skills that you guys took. I started with visual, verbal, touch, and PPA, and oh my goodness, hand under hand, and all these skills that you not only learned them for yourself, but you're implementing them and sharing them with teams and really, really making a difference in the lives of folks living with dementia. So thank you for what you're doing. And I know we want to get to that GEMS tool too, and how you as therapists are using that tool and how you make it work within maybe more readily accepted models. In the meantime, I also want to ask folks if you can put in the comments, because we have highlighted trainers and engagement leaders, and we are looking to find others in the community too. So if you would write, if you are certified with a PAC certification, what is your certification? We want to hear who is on with us this evening. So thank you, Jami. Thank you, Julie. And thanks for staying on for the next piece about tools.
Thank you guys for highlighting us.
Yeah, so cool. You guys are awesome. I love it. I'm a little biased because I'm a therapist as well. So, definitely was excited for this piece, getting our therapists represented out there with our certification. So cool. Going to share my screen here again so we can take a look, speaking of certifications and how they can make such an amazing difference in the places that you guys are at. We've got our events of certifications that are coming up. So just real quick, looking at the list here, we can see that, of course, last week we totally gave that spotlight to the engagement lead certification, last one of the year, starting tomorrow. So there it is. Maybe you could squeeze it in, get on that page, contact them, see if you could get in there. August 25th and 27th, we got our consultant certification coming up. Our group research are happening. So for trainer, consult, and the engagement lead, those are all happening on the 25th, and the times there. You can go on that tpasnow.com event page and take a look and see and sign up. And then we've got TPA, who's going to be leading a certified community webinar on engagement for us on the 27th. So definitely one you want to try to jump on and check it out and see what TPA has for us, because you know she always has some pretty awesome stuff for us. So, oh my goodness. So one thing that I know, a lot of times we all have questions, and especially for these folks who come on that we spotlight and show all the amazing things they're doing. So Jami and Julie both have these web addresses for you guys, easy emails that you guys can contact them and ask them questions about what they're doing and see if you can connect with them, so that way we can all just that community piece, right? Come together and help each other so we can all put the SUP in support, right? Very cool. GEMS tool. Oh my goodness. So what an amazing resource, right? I mean, we knew the GEMS were great. I mean, that was already a given, but then PAC goes and they create this amazing GEMS tool. So Jami and Julie, I'm curious. You guys talked a little bit about what you were using before, right? These ACLs, the GDS. I'm thinking numbers. I mean, numbers are flying through my head right now. And like, do I want to be first place? Do I want to be last place? Do I want more of something? Do I want less of something? So tell me, when you guys were working with families or working with staff and you had to use numbers to communicate with each other about where these folks were at, how did that make you feel? And what did you notice on how that made others feel when you did that?
I was doing care conferences and trying to explain the stages of dementia, the process of dementia. It automatically sent up that caregiver's response, or even the person living with dementia themselves. They were like, whoa, wait a minute. I'm not a 4, I can live on my own. I don't understand why all this is like that. So it automatically sent them into that defensive state. That was a process that made it very difficult to provide any further education. When they're already in that state, you've shut down all learning, which is what we're there to do, is help them. But it came across as we were judging them, not there to help them. So utilizing the GEMS, I don't feel like that's being portrayed, because I'm saying, you know what, there's so many different stages, but this valuable gem of being an emerald, you know, look at all the abilities that are still left at this state is where I focus on. Instead of what's lost, look at what they can still do. If you set them up like this situation with this environmental support, with these visual cues, or even this routine where they can kind of carry it out themselves, look at the endless possibilities that you've provided them versus, okay, they can't live on their own anymore. You're going to have to manage their medication for them, and listening to all the they can't. So Julie, I'll turn it over for you in a minute as a speech therapist, how you have found this difference in using tools.
Thanks, Jami. Yeah, you know, definitely when you're given scales, that number kind of holds that inherent value. And, you know, like Matthew was saying, oh, I want to be first. Well, you know, first on the GDS is great, but if you're flipping over to the ACL, a 1 is not so great. So, you know, that number might not mean much to, you know, that person, but it might mean everything when, like, you know, said you want to be first. So what I like about the GEMS state, though, and you kind of are hearing two different terms being thrown out there, stage and state. So what we use with the GEMS state, and that's why I also love that, as you can see on there, it's a circle. You're not, you know, just stuck in a stage. So, you know, with the global deterioration scale, so GDS 5, that's when you're considered, you know, no more new learning. You're in that stage. You're only going to progress to that next 6, and then eventually 7, end stage. But with GEMS, you have that opportunity of fluidity. You know, one of the things that we work on when we do our presentations and we discuss is you might present today as an emerald, but tomorrow you might have that diamond component. And then one of the other things too is, okay, so if I know that, you know, for example, this morning I'm taking my daughter to daycare and my car starts shaking, my amygdala, I'm a diamond for the rest of the day. But I'm able to take that time, come back down, and I'm reverting back to an emerald. I'm sorry, I'm reverting back to a sapphire. There's another diamond moment that's popping up. And so one of the things that we talk about too is, you know, knowing that someone with brain changes, there's that chemical component. So they might have those bouts of times that, you know, things are working better than others. So we talk about, you know, don't just do that GEMS assessment once. You know, see what it looks like in the morning, find out how they're looking in the afternoon, you know, get some of that good data, and what great information that we can bring to the team members and say, you know, in the morning, they're kind of more of an emerald, but towards that afternoon, we're seeing that amber. So again, you know, they'll probably come back to that emerald in the morning, but just be prepared that this, you know, might be happening. So it's that nice way of, they're not always stuck in this stage. They're moving through states, and we can kind of accommodate and adjust our agenda to meet their agenda throughout the day.
Wow, that is so cool. So you guys saw how people felt and how it made you feel using these other scales. And, you know, unfortunately, it's kind of something that we have to use, especially when it comes to documentation and providing reasons why we're charging insurance for treating this person and showing progression and all those things. And it's just one of those necessary things, right? But then seeing how this GEM tool can be such a benefit and how it can really help others that you're working with see that value of the person more than seeing them as that number. So that is so cool. So Jami, I'm curious, it looks like you're wanting to add a little bit to what we were talking about. Tell us more about what.
Yeah, so using that gym state tool, we have been able to kind of cue people along with the visual deficits. That is not something that our schooling really teaches us. You would think, being a clinician, we would be in tune to this, but guess what? There's so much we can get out of school, and we got to learn some on our own afterwards too. So that's a huge component that's included in this gym state tool, is the visual changing or the visual processing changes that come along. But it also helps us guide engagement activities for our residents living with dementia in our communities. So we can not only go, ooh, this diamond can get with this emerald, and together, look what they can create, because those two work really well together. So we can kind of look at those options too, and it's all right there on that tool. Julie and I reference it probably at least twice a presentation, just because it's so much good information for our learners to see what's all there, because we can talk to them and tell them what's on the cue card, but until we show them and they get all of that information themselves, I mean, you've got what are the likes, what are the visual cues, what are the communication cues, and it's all laid out right there per GEMS. Yes. There's your crosswalk right there, Rebekah's holding up. So there's all this useful, skilled information that we can use as therapists to plan out our interventions, plan out our plan of cares, our goals, our discharge planning, because it doesn't just stop with therapy. Once we're done, nursing has to take over, and they've got to be able to recreate basically what we're doing to keep these patients at their highest functional levels. So by integrating them with the GEM state tools, we can go, here's our common lingo, it's positive, it's focusing on what's left, let's make this work together.
That is so cool. So I love that last part there, what you're talking about, because that totally segues me into my next piece or my next question, which is, so you guys saw the value in this, you saw what it could do, you started using it yourselves, and now how did you implement that in your facilities? How did you start getting that going to where everybody could? Because, you know, I know sometimes you show this to folks and they're like, oh, wow, that looks really cool, but we can't really use it because it's not published, but other people, they see that value and they start trying to use it. So what did you guys do to get that going and get that implemented into your facilities?
Well, it started out with a building that really needed some assistance with their dementia care planning, long-term care programming. So I went and did 2 courses back to back, flew home, and that was pretty much it. That was the first go around. That's all I had known what to do at that time. Since then, our company, I mean, they support Julie and I 100%. We are so thankful that they really see the potential in this program being the basis of long-term care programming itself. And we're happy that some of them are on this call right now supporting us. So, but without their support, that's where it would have stopped. Since then, it has grown into other regional areas. Our company is pretty much nationwide at this point. A lot of buildings, we're growing exponentially by the day, it feels like. But at the base, we're going, what else can we do to provide better care? So they have formed us a team. That's where Julie came in. When she got certified, I ended up, as soon as she got certified, I went on maternity leave. And if you guys were at National or at the conference this year, I was that girl. But Julie took over for me while I was on maternity leave, and it was wonderful because at that point in time, the fire was lit and people were requesting us left and right. And together with Julie and her expertise in programming and planning programming, we'll let her take over from here. It has grown so much. And I'll let you kind of expand a little bit, Julie.
Yeah, thanks, Jami. So as she mentioned, we literally have a waiting list in our company of facilities and regions. We literally, about 2 hours ago, got another emergent request to come to see somebody. And we kind of just started off with little tidbits here and there. So, who kind of needs a little bit of a tasting? Maybe we can't get in and do workshops A, B, and C all at once because of, time restraints or management or, at the facility level, maybe the staffing, it's not going to be appropriate for us to come in and train a whole new therapy/nursing department when there's continual turnover in contracting. So that is kind of where it started, and then COVID. So I'm going to give a shout out to Alejandro because between him and Bonnie, we have been on the Zoom calls. We've been on the PAC certified calls. We weren't accepting that we had to be without training people at this point. We didn't accept that the persons with dementia who need us the most right now during this time of isolation weren't going to get to be heard and weren't going to get to have that culture changing care. So Jami and I have spent countless hours, days, communication with, again, the support of our company and turning workshops A, B, and C 100% virtual. So instead of doing a one-day workshop, we have kind of cut it up into segments to allow a little bit of digestible information a week, but we don't just stop there. Jami puts together weekly newsletters for PAC, so they're kind of continuing with that engagement. And then I started positive conversation starters. So maybe it had something to do with what was in the class from the last week or something that was going to be in the upcoming one, or my birthstone is a Ruby. I'm all about July. So we did, a special positive conversation about, tell us maybe somebody that, is presenting as a Ruby. What are some things that you're going to notice based off of what they still can do, but what are going to be some of those abilities that they lose? So we have turned GEMS into linguistic learning with our PowerPoint slides and handouts, visual. You get Jami and I. We go into breakout rooms. Our kinesthetic learners are acting and doing. They are the GEMS model. So we do an introduction to the GEMS, and then we do a follow-up one afterwards about applying. So that's great. We're telling you what the GEMS states are, but now here's how you're going to apply and here's how you can apply the skills and knowledge to reach those, persons at that level. So, we really take the time and plan well for the learners. We do have pre-quizzes as well. So we get an understanding of what is the learner's expectations, but also what is their initial level of understanding of dementia. Because if they don't even know dementia, if they don't know, the brain changes, then we're starting all the way in square one. And we're even doing an introductory on what is dementia before we transition into PAC.
Wow, that is so cool. So you guys really have taken this and created this model and implemented it, even to the point now where you guys are like the A team, right? They're calling you in to come in and help out when there is an urgent thing happening. And so that is amazing what you guys have done with this, and especially using that GEM tool and implementing that in to help all of the folks in the continuum of care, not just see our folks living with dementia as a number, but seeing them as that gem, so that we can create that right setting, and with the right care, they can shine. Awesome job, guys. You guys really put this up in support too. That is amazing. That takes a lot of support in an organization like that. So that is so cool. Thank you guys.
And when we say, you know, and I'm going to interject because you kind of hit on there, but I just do want to say, it's not just, you know, our organization, we're literally talking CEO and down. It's not just immediate supervisors, it's absolute top of the organization that supports us. So we're very grateful to have that.
Wow, that is
Yeah,
so cool.
100%. Without them, it would have stopped at just a few virtual or a few in-person trainings, but we are very thankful for the support we get from our company and all of our regionals, all our directors, all our clinicians, everyone as a whole. We're really trying to change the face of dementia care and long-term care.
Thank you
Cool.
all. We know you're there.
You are awesome. Thank you both for being on. You are a dynamic duo. You are the A team. So another SUP in the books. I don't know where an hour goes. I just don't know where time goes. You guys are awesome. Thank you for being on. Thank you, Matthew, for being an awesome co-host. Thank you to Alejandro. And as always, thank you to Carrie for being our the behind the scenes person that we need so much. So thank you all. And we'll hope to see you same time, same place next Tuesday for another highlight of our PAC certified community.
Right, 7 p.m. Eastern, Facebook, keep us know.
Bye, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank
Bye,
you,
thank you.
everybody.
Yeah.